Welcome to the deep dive. We've got this pile of source material articles, reports, notes, all sorts of things, and we're here to basically give you the shortcut, the most important takeaways about a really interesting part of the Chinese tech scene right now.
Yeah, our mission today is really to get under the hood of something called mini programs and, well, a pretty significant change that's shaking things up over there.
Right, we've waded through all this stuff. It covers, everything from new government rules opening things up
Wow.
to the different strategies of giants like Tencent and Alibaba.
And even some, cool historical bits about the founders, Jack Ma, Lei Jun, plus a quick look at recent tech news. So, yeah, let's unpack it.
Okay, let's dive right in. The material kicks off with this big regulatory change. They call it the crumbling of the 10-cent wall.
Yes, and this, it gets right to the heart of how the Chinese internet has worked for a good while now. There's this practice called link blocking.
Okay, so what did that actually look like?
Well, think about WeChat. It's massive, dominant. Pretty much everyone in China uses it. For the longest time, if you tried to share a link inside WeChat, maybe to a rival's e-commerce site like Alibaba's Taobao or a video on Douyin, their TikTok equivalent,
The link just wouldn't work.
exactly, it'd be blocked. Couldn't open it from within WeChat.
And Tencent's official reason, we saw, was something about stopping other companies advertising on WeChat, like against their rules.
Yeah, that was the stated reason. But, I mean, the real reason, and the material seems pretty clear on this, was likely about controlling traffic, keeping users inside their own garden.
Right, WeChat has this incredible amount of user activity, and they wanted to funnel that traffic to their own stuff, not let it leak out to competitors.
Precisely. And it wasn't just links, was it? The sources pointed out the same kind of fragmentation with mobile payments.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. Like, Alibaba places often only took Alipay. Tencent services only took WeChat Pay.
Yeah, it meant you kind of had to have both apps and remember which one to use where. A bit like, needing Visa for one shop and a MasterCard for the next. Creates friction.
Which must have been annoying for people.
Absolutely. Frustrating for consumers. And, well, this is where the government got involved. The MIAT, that's the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, they actually held a specific meeting about this website link blocking.
And told companies to fix it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
By a certain date.
That's right. They had a meeting around September 9th and told them to sort it out by September 17th. Pretty quick turnaround.
And we also saw the central bank was involved, looking at guidelines to stop platform monopolies, saying payment barriers should go too.
Mm-hmm. So the positive outcome mentioned really is for you, the user, more convenience. The goal is you should be able to use your favorite payment app anywhere.
And those blocked links in WeChat, they should start working.
That's the idea. And some companies moved pretty fast. Alibaba, Meituan, Pinduoduo, they announced they'd support rival payment options.
What about Tencent?
Well, they said they were revising their rules and would gradually unblock links, following the MIIT guidance.
Gradually, though. So it wasn't like, boom, everything unblocked instantly. The material suggested maybe some hesitation or just needing time to prepare.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because, like we said, their whole model really relies on using that huge WeChat traffic fire hose to feed their own services, especially their own mini programs.
Ah, right. Letting that traffic flow freely to competitors, well, that hits their core strategy, especially when they're facing other headaches like new game regulations.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely to these mini programs. We keep mentioning them, but to really get why the unblocking matters, we need to understand what they actually are.
Okay, yeah, let's define them.
So think of them as like mini apps, right? But they run inside another bigger app, usually WeChat or Alipay. Technically, they're kind of like web pages, but with way more functionality.
And the killer feature, the sources really hammer this home, is no installation. You don't need an app store, no download, no install process.
None of that. The example used was ordering coffee. Instead of finding and downloading the cafe's specific app, which you might only use once, you just scan a QR code or tap a link, and their mini program pops up instantly in WeChat or Alipay.
Like visiting a website, but integrated.
Exactly. And even smoother than just a website, because often you don't need a separate login or have to enter payment details again.
Because it uses your existing WeChat or Alipay account and payment method.
Right. It pulls that info automatically, which makes it super easy for things you only do occasionally, much less friction.
And the numbers back this up, don't they? There was a report cited.
Yeah, end of 2020, over 6 million mini programs across platforms. That's more than the number of traditional native apps available in China, which was around 3.5 million then.
Wow, so many programs actually overtook native apps. and they're growing faster.
Mm,
That really shows this mini program first idea has taken hold, especially for shops and
yeah,
services.
definitely. And there are other reasons users seem to like them. Safety came up.
Safety, how so?
Well, with a mini program, your really sensitive stuff, personal data, payment details, it's mostly handled by the big platform, Tencent or Alipay. The actual mini program operator, like the coffee shop, doesn't necessarily get direct access to all of it in the same way a standalone app might need.
Ah, okay. So less risk if it's a small business you don't fully know.
Kind of. You're trusting the big platform security. And if you stop using a mini program, you haven't left your data scattered across potentially dozens of separate app developer accounts you then forget about.
That makes sense. And notifications too, right?
Yeah.
Something about less annoying notifications.
Yeah, this was interesting. WeChat mini programs tend to avoid those really intrusive push notifications that pop up all the time.
Okay. So how do businesses communicate?
Often, using the mini program links you to the business's official account within WeChat. Then updates or offers come through as chat messages from that account.
Which you can just mute or unfollow easily.
Exactly. More control for the user, less notification spam.
And for the businesses building these, what's the upside?
Cost is a big one. Building a mini program is generally cheaper, maybe half the cost, or even less compared to building separate native apps for iOS and Android.
And easier to find developers too, because they use web tech.
Right. HTML, CSS, JavaScript common web skills, easier talent pool than finding specialized native app developers.
So quick recap on the timeline. WeChat started this in 2017, really took off in 2018. Rivals like Alipay jumped in. Now it's pretty mature, but still growing like crazy. WeChat's mini programs alone have, what, like 830 million monthly users?
Yeah, huge numbers. Pretty much everyone using WeChat is using mini programs.
Okay, so we know what they are, why they're popular. Now, the really crucial bit from the sources. How do people find these millions of mini programs? And this is where WeChat and Alipay have really different approaches.
Absolutely. WeChat's traditional strengths were, well, several things. You could find them in the WeChat app itself, like through a nearby feature or your recently used list.
QR codes are huge too, right? For physical places.
Massive. Scan a code on a table, at a bus stop, whatever. But historically, a really powerful driver, especially for getting new users on board, was sharing links within WeChat chats and from those official accounts we mentioned.
That social word-of-mouth discovery, which was supercharged because, again, links to rivals were blocked.
Precisely. Now, what's interesting is the material suggests this is changing a bit. While just using the menu is common for regular users for finding new mini programs, those social network links are actually becoming less important.
Was that? Market saturation.
Probably. Most major services people use regularly already have well-known mini programs.
Hmm.
So the growing ways people are finding new ones now seem to be via official accounts, QR codes still, and interestingly, search within WeChat.
Okay, search. Now let's bring in Alipay. They're a massive player too.
Yeah.
Millions of mini programs, hundreds of millions of users.
Yep. Big numbers. But the key difference, Alipay is primarily a payment and financial services app. It's not a social network.
Meaning they don't have that built-in social sharing engine that WeChat used so effectively.
Exactly. They lacked that viral word-of-mouth channel. So what did Alipay do? They doubled down on optimizing search as their main way to get users into mini programs.
And the example they used was that T-chain, Mixu Bingcheng.
Right. If you search for Mixu Bingcheng on Alipay, the results you get are apparently incredibly rich.
How so?
You don't just get a link, you get coupons displayed right there, direct links to specific parts of the mini program, like the Order Now page. You get reviews for nearby stores, ratings, maybe links to delivery options, even corporate info to build trust.
Wow, okay, so it's like a whole information dashboard just from the search result.
Exactly. It gives a potential new user all the key info they might need before even deciding to open the mini program.
And how does that compare to searching on WeChat?
Well, according to the material, searching for the same business on WeChat often just gives you a button to launch the mini program.
That's it.
Pretty much. The assumption seems to be that on WeChat, you probably already got the context, the recommendation, the coupon, the review from a friend, or from the brand's official account before you searched. You already know you want it.
Whereas Alipay, lacking that social pre-briefing, built all that info directly into the search results.
Makes sense, right? Compensating for their platform's nature.
Yeah. And the material then speculates a bit, stresses it's just speculation that maybe these different approaches appeal to different types of users.
Sort of. The idea floated was maybe WeChat's social discovery leans younger, while Alipay's info-dense direct search approach might appeal more to, say, older or more pragmatic users who just want the facts up front from a trusted source.
Interesting thought. Another advantage mentioned for Alipay was offline advertising.
Right. Because their search results are so good at onboarding new users with all that info, they can actually run ads effectively that say, search on Alipay for brand name.
And that works because the search result itself is useful.
Exactly. Whereas for WeChat, just telling someone to search for a brand might be less effective if the search result is just a plain button with no context for a new user.
Okay, so this all loops back beautifully to the link unblocking.
It does, because now Alipay potentially gets access to that powerful WeChat social sharing channel, that SNS traffic,
Adding it on top of their existing strengths in search and offline promotion.
which could really fuel their growth, couldn't it? Getting access to a key traffic source they mostly lacked before.
So the big picture implication is more competition.
Much more intense competition, potentially, between WeChat and Alipay in the mini program space. That seems to be the takeaway.
The material brought up this interesting Chinese concept, the 6.3.1 situation, or 6.3.1 model.
Yeah, it's this idea that the ideal market structure for competition and innovation is often seen as having three main players, holding roughly 60%, 30%, and 10% market share.
Why is that considered good?
Well, the thinking is it avoids a stagnant monopoly, but also avoids having too many tiny players, which can fragment the market too much. Three strong competitors supposedly keep each other on their toes, leading to better products, better prices, more promotions for consumers.
Okay. And the mini program market wasn't quite 6.3.1 yet, with WeChat, Alipay, and maybe Baidu as the third. But Alipay was gaining.
Right. And this link unblocking, the source suggests, could really push the market closer towards that more balanced, competitive 6.3.1 state faster.
So the message is, don't just watch WeChat anymore. Alipay's moves in the mini program space are now just as, maybe even more important to follow.
Definitely. You need to track both to understand what's happening.
We also got a brief mention of mini programs outside China, things like Lion in Japan, PayPay, Apple's App Clips.
Yeah, they exist, but they just haven't taken off in the same way. They're not nearly as dominant.
Any reason suggested?
A couple of thoughts were floated. One, the lack of a single, utterly dominant social platform like WeChat to drive traffic everywhere else, and maybe different cultural norms around sharing recommendations online compared to China.
Which led to an interesting question. Could the Alipay model, the search-focused one, actually be a better fit for markets like Japan?
It's a provocative thought. Maybe the search-first approach is more transferable, where you don't have that one huge social network underpinning everything.
But the overall trend seems clear. The world is moving towards these lighter, instant app-like experiences, whether you call them mini programs or progressive web apps or whatever, and China's definitely a place to learn from.
Absolutely. And beyond that main thread, the source material also gave us these really cool little side stories.
Oh yeah, those were great. The bit about Lei Jun, Xiaomi's founder, back in 1989 as a young programmer.
Yeah, coding this encryption software called BitLock 0.99, dealing with software piracy way back then, his specific coding habits, even getting his first payment just 50 yuan. It's a snapshot of a different era.
And the Jack Ma story, discovering the internet in Seattle in '95.
That was fascinating. His shock at searching for beer and finding global results, then searching Chinese beer and finding nothing. Zero.
And that being the spark, getting someone to help build a basic web page for his translation company back home,
Right.
and then boom, getting international business emails within hours.
You can almost feel the moment he grasped the sheer power and global reach of the internet. The source also hinted at some more dramatic, though unspecified, earlier experiences he had in the U.S., too.
Right. And then there was just that list of recent headlines.
Yeah, a quick reminder of how fast everything moves there. Tencent testing a new game SNS, automated restaurants dealing with labor costs, customer service complaints, e-commerce fraud issues, even Alibaba scouting some young genius kid.
It just shows the dynamism, the constant churn of innovation and challenges.
And finally, yeah, the material invited listener questions, which is always good. Maybe something for a future deep dive.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've really dug into mini programs, how the tech giants played the traffic game, and how government intervention is now scrambling that board.
Yeah, what's really striking is seeing these different strategies based on core strengths, WeChat owning social, Alipay mastering search and offline integration, and then bam, a policy change forces everyone to rethink.
And connecting it globally, this shift towards lighter instant app experiences seems real. China's journey offers a lot of food for thought,
Definitely.
which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Think about your own smartphone habits right now. How do you usually find new services or businesses? Is it mostly through friends, social media recommendations?
Or are you more likely to just search directly on Google, in an app store, or maybe on a specific platform like Amazon or Yelp when you need something specific?
And looking ahead, if more services globally start moving towards this mini program, instant access model, which approach do you think would actually work better for you in your daily life? The WeChat style, driven by social discovery? Or the Alipay style, focused on rich search results and direct access?
Something to ponder as this digital world keeps changing so incredibly fast.